Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Fabiana Cerato. I am an architect, an entrepreneur, a self-researcher, and conscientiologist. Today, I am representing ISAC, which is an interassistential services for the internationalization of conscientiology, a non-profit organization. ISAC has the status of a pre-conscientiocentric institution, as we call it, a pre-CI. Focus on opening doors, building bridges between researchers. Today, we are presenting this project, the Bridge Reseachers, which is a project that has been created to bring together conscientiology researchers from all over the world in order to facilitate knowledge exchange and sharing of interassistential experiences, which are free online talks held every 2 months, usually in the first Sunday of the month, where the speaker presents a topic of self-research. And today we have the pleasure of having here Eliane Wojslaw, who is going to talk about how to make a dictionary.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here to talk about dictionaries with you.
Hello, Eliane. Be very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Eliane Wojslaw is graduated and Master in Arts. She's a Brazilian, a volunteer and instructor of conscientiology, verbetographer, consular of the International Council of Neologism and Terminology of Conscienciological, ICNEL. She is the co-author of the English-Portuguese Glossary of Essential Conscienciological Terms and the Term Point, which is the thesaurus of conscienciological terms in Portuguese, to be launched in August this year. That's a great job. Currently, she's a volunteer at Rea Prendentia. This is a fantastic experience, Eliane.
It has been a fantastic experience, and I highly recommend to the ones who are watching us, if they are interested in making dictionaries, that's the time. Feel free to send us any question about it.
I am very curious, and we do have many people asking already. So I'll give you the word.
Okay, then. So, people, let's get started because I will try to cover all the topics so that after this lecture, you can start doing a project of your own to produce your own dictionary. Okay? So our general objective today is to provide tools, paths, ideas for those who want to produce a specialized or thematic dictionary. Okay. In fact, you don't need to do a specialized or thematic. You can do a language dictionary as well. But our focus today will be in terminological dictionaries that are those from a specialized area of knowledge or science, such as we are doing in conscienciology. And the contents we are going to cover are: why should we make a dictionary? Is it worth it to have such a great amount of work? And then we are going to talk about the terminographic project. I'm going to give you the instructions for producing one before getting started with your job. And I'm going to suggest a methodology that we have been using since 2018. And it's been great. It's been very useful, and that's how we could conclude a dictionary, a big one that is called thesaurus. Okay, so let's move. So the first question is why? What are, people, the advantages that you have for doing a dictionary? Advantages for your own personal growing. Okay, so I was reflecting about that. And the first thing is that dictionaries organize knowledge. So it's a great tool for you to learn, okay? Because since we were children, we started learning words through dictionaries. But now, as we are studying, some specialties, some sciences, you can organize your own dictionary or your own glossary of new terms, and it's very good for your own knowledge. It provides intellectual autonomy because every time you have a doubt, you go there, you make your consultation, and you can carry a dictionary in your computer, or if it is printed, you can have it in your live personal books, and you can consult it. Well, there is a great variety of dictionaries, so you can learn new words, concepts, ideas, information, and they are registered there for posterity. They allow consultations during many, many years and even centuries. You can also standardize and normalize specialized vocabularies. So people, let's think a little bit about that. Let's think about that, the pandemics that was gone, that time was gone. Of course, we still have some issues going on, but the hardest part was gone already, and that's good, that's great. But when the pandemic started, a lot of knowledge was being produced because people were trying to avoid, to overcome the difficulties of the illnesses and the virus, and how the virus behaved, what were the techniques to make people more overcome the COVID. Okay, and so a lot of new technologies were created, and they had to register that in forms of a glossary and a dictionary. And that is very good because then scientists and physicians have the same conversation all over the world through a simple glossary in which they were describing things, defining techniques and procedures. So that it's very important. You can have a universal conversation among scientists when you have a dictionary, the things registered, the discoveries registered in a dictionary. And they help to increase one's cerebral neurolexicon, and that is very important. In conscienciology, we call mental soma, okay, or our mental body, the body responsible for our intellectual development. And so when we learn new words, when we learn new ideas, our physical brain get new synapses. And that synapses from the physical brain will enrich the synapses, the parasynapses of our parabrain. And that's very good for us to develop our communication abilities in this existence that we are having this brain, and in other existence. We can have this parabrain. Yes, Fabiana.
Yes. Why you just mentioned about the mental soma, right? Why it's important to amplify the synapses of our physical body? What's the relationship with this and the mental soma?
Yes, because our physical body and our physical brain is a kind of model for the parabrain. So once we acquire the physical synapses, when we learn new things, and dictionaries are very good for that. So that is gonna create a very rich brain, physical brain, full of connections, new learnings. Let's put this way, and that will improve our para brain.
Great.
Okay, it's from the physical brain that we learn, we acquire experiences that will make our parasynapses better. Of course, we bring our own parasynapses from other lives. That's important to mention, that will help us. And something that I want to mention here is the importance of the polyglottism when we learn new languages. When we learn new languages and we work with translations, that's very good for this for creating these new parasynapses as well as from the physical brain. Okay,
Okay.
so it's very good. I highly recommend for you. And so dictionaries are good also because they allow translations of terms and words into many new languages, and we can spread, we can access new intermissivists around the world. We also increase the possibility of interdimensional communication. That's we that study conscienciology, we have the consciential paradigm, and we deal with multidimensionality. That is one of the pillars of the consciential paradigm. Okay, so sometimes helpers want to inspire us, to inform us about some idea that is more advanced. It's about an extra physical reality, it's about an inspiration, something that we have to recycle in ourselves. And the helpers want to communicate with us. If we know new words, if we have this, let's say, the para brains and the physical brains have more vocabulary, this communication will be facilitated. Okay, that's what one of the advantages that I think it's a great one. Let's move further. And so, people, it's important to mention here that there are several types of dictionaries, and they vary from the most simple ones or easy ones to do to the more sophisticated. Okay, I wrote 5 of them, and the most simple one is the vocabulary. You can just list. It's all also called lexicon. It's, for example, you are interested in some speciality of conscienciology, and you start researching, and you decided to collect all the words, all the terms that belong to that specialty. And so it calls a vocabulary or a lexicon, just that. And you don't define, you don't have definitions, you have just the words, the list of words, and you can make use of it. Then the second one are the glossaries, in which you have that list and you start with the definitions, more simple, directly definitions, and you will have a glossary. When we talk about dictionaries, is a more, let's say, more complex glossary. Okay, and for example, you add some other variables in the glossary. You will have just for example, the definition, and you have the elements of composition and translation. In a dictionary, you can add some other variables, such as the example of use. You can add also, for example, the etymology of the word or any other variant. I'm going to show you a slide with all the possible variants, okay? And then we have this number 4, that are the thesauri, okay? So if you are going to produce a thesaurus, that is a Latin word for the more specialized and complex dictionary. It's a little bit more complex because you will be adding more variants. I'm going to show you our lexicographic record so that you can see what I'm talking about. But the thesaurus has more details, and we have more languages as well. Okay, for example, we are producing one thesaurus that is translated into, the terms are translated into 6 languages. And there is the number 5, encyclopedias, in which you go more deep into the variables, you add much more variables, and you the knowledge that you are going to include is broader. It has the purpose of giving a broader view to the reader. Okay, And we also have an example that is the Encyclopedia of Conscienciology that is happening, and it has more than 6,000 entries nowadays. So people, here we have an example of specialized dictionaries in conscienciology. For example, we have the first one that is in Portuguese. They are not translated into English. It has 14,100 neologisms, all coined by Dr. Vieira, the proposer of conscienciology. And this dictionary was organized by Lourdes Pinheiro. The good news is that we took the great majority of terms and we translated them into English, and we are producing a dictionary, a thesaurus, with the majority of these terms that are the essential ones from Dr. Vieira. And we also have this dictionary of argument that is very specific, written by Dr. Vieira. And this, what I point out here is that it has a lot of new specialities. Dr. Vieira proposes a great number of specialities. I don't have the number here, but it's much more than 500 new specialities of conscienciology. And there is a team here in Brazil that are defining these specialities of conscienciology that are totally new, and they hadn't been defined yet, and they are producing a dictionary in Portuguese and totally dedicated to definition and understanding of the specialties. And of course, someday we hope that this will be translated into English. And we have the dictionary of tecas from holotecologia. That is, we have here in Iguaçu Falls a holoteca. There is a place in which we have many collections, not only for books, but also objects. And in this dictionary, it's not only 200 tecas that it defines, but it defines tecas you can put that are collections, okay? Collections, several types. And here we have in this dictionary 318 tecas defined. And it's all a new way of organizing knowledge. Okay, you can, whenever you come to Iguaçu Falls, you can take a look in holoteca. So these are some examples. And what we did, well, we have been producing the conscienciological glossaries, and we started with the English-Portuguese one. And this is very interesting because we, in the beginning, we wanted to teach conscienciology in English, and we have many possibilities of translating terms. And what we did was to get together with some researchers, instructors of conscienciology, and English speakers who use it to be instructors of conscienciology, and we started analyzing all the glossaries that had in conscienciology and see what was the best translation for each term. And we organized this glossary that has 600 terms, and from Portuguese to English, and then English from Portuguese. It's a bilingual glossary. And it ended up being very good because we were able to come to consensus, traductory consensus among the translators. And I think the work became very mature, became much better than it was before. And we could talk conscienciology with everyone, everywhere, using the same terms. So it makes the understanding of the science much easier. That what we call normalization of a science, right? And this glossary was already translated into Spanish, and it was great job done by Ana Seno and Cristina Nievas, revised by our friends from Isaac, Virginia Ruiz and Ana Belém. And also we have this glossary now being launched in Romanian, translated by Adina Oprea, Daniela Maris, and also we had Irina, and we have other people who helped in translating this glossary. Okay, and it's being produced. This glossary, people, is going to be launched in during the existential balance that is going to take place in Germany, in this year, okay, in September, October, and in the end of September, is beginning of October, we will have this great event in Germany called Existential Balance, and we are going to launch the glossary and the thesaurus of conscienciology over there. So if you have a chance, come to participate in this course.
Could you, Eliane, reinforce once again the difference between glossary and thesaurus?
Yes. So now I have a slide to show you how it works in each word. For example, so here we have a page of our glossary, and this is very simple. We have the term we are translating in English, and or we are defining in English, and then we have the equivalent term in Portuguese. And here we have a very simple and direct objective definition, the plural and outdated variants that are out of use. And then we have the term conscience, consciousness, that in conscienciology, it means us, the individuality of the being, the essence, the soul, spirit, self, ego. So we are defining it in a very simple way. If we are going to see these definitions into the term report, there is the thesaurus. They're going to be more complex. They're going to have examples of use, and other. Some of them are going to have a synoptic table to explain more details, and it's a more complex work. But this, what I want to point is that both works are very important, because when we have beginners, newcomers to conscienciology, they want to learn, they want to have a very direct guide to the new terms. So 600 terms is more than enough to start with understanding conscienciology. After the person learns these basic terms, then he can go a bit further, move a step further, and then start knowing new things in broadening his understanding about this leading edge relative truth that we deal with.
Eliane, may I reinforce that we are talking about a new science. Conscienciology is a new science, and every science needs to clarify all his terms. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that is very important. We have each science should have new terms, because the science is going to explore a new field of knowledge, new discoveries, new ideas, concepts, new constructs. And if we have them properly defined and translated, the science becomes universal. If not, each researcher will add something new, but doesn't know that someone has already researched on that and with another name. And it's going to be like, it's not going to be a science. A science, to become a science, must have registered its terms and its knowledge.
Another question on top of that. How do you make consensus of terms? How do you
That's
make
a
it
very important
official?
question, Fabiana. Very important. We have to, it's very important that when we are dealing with dictionaries, doing dictionaries and translating, we are going to talk about two things at the same time: making dictionaries, and then after that, translating the terms. If we have a team, the work will be much more qualified, because we are going to discuss. We one person does the definition, the other revises, and the other revises it for the second time or third time, and then that revision and heterocritics makes the work much better. And
Much
for
more
us,
profound and real.
yes, we are going to avoid misinterpretations because we have other people's views
Hmm.
on something, not only
Okay.
one person doing something that can be very good, but whenever we have revision, everything gets better. And the consensus, we have to discuss, we have to get together, put the term to be consensus, and really debate, research. Sometimes we have to go into the etymology, research the root of the term. And another thing that is very important, we must have native, when we are translating terms into other languages, we have to have native speakers to validate that term. Because although we study a lot of English, we have good dictionaries, good books, the person who's native is gonna tell us if that flows in the target language, if that makes sense. And we, as we are learners, and for example, in my case, English for me is I learned after I was grown up, so I know a lot of grammar rules, a lot of morphology of English, but I'm not native. I wasn't born inside that environment. So we have to have their opinion about what we are translating. And so when we get together, then we see that the quality of translation gets much better. And then we can publish something that is safe, that the foreigner will read and really make sense. Otherwise, it's people will, wow, this is, even because you saw that, we can see that even for us, for example, consensology was produced firstly in Portuguese. And for us, until today, we are learning new words, because consensology uses different and more intellectual words, I would say. And some words we were not used, we got used after studying what that means. Imagine that amount of new vocabulary being translated into target languages, such we are doing. And something that was very challenging was for the people from the German, the German translators, our friends, the German team. They had to discuss a lot to come to consensus, because it's different. German has different roots. Whenever we are translating consensology from the languages that have Latin Greek roots, it's much easier. We are going to see that there is a standard because they have similar roots. But when our friends from Germany was translating, they had to a lot of work to get new terms that were able to make sense in German. And some of them, they had to adopt the term in Portuguese, from the Portuguese, because otherwise it wasn't going to be possible to build the cognates of that terms. And so, but I think they liked it, and they did a brilliant work. You are going to see when we publish the term report. That is going to be soon. I hope that until end of August, we are going to have the term report in the libraries in Amazon and other libraries in the world, other bookstores in the world. Okay.
That's a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Exhaustive, but very
Yes,
fantastic.
it is exhausting. Producing dictionaries is a very detailed and exhaustive, but it's so good that I feel that myself, a person before I started doing this and another person after. And I wanted to keep with this work. So people,
That's
I'm going
great.
to show you the term report. Okay. And here we have also a picture of the a great job that was the first dictionary um, of consciential therapeuticology, is still in Portuguese, but it has equivalent terms in four languages. And it is the first dictionary of a conscienciological specialty. So it's very well done, very good. And this is the term report that I told you, that is the Tesauros of Conscienciological Terms in Portuguese, with 3,020 terms. And I'm going to show you the terminological record of that is much more complex than the glossary. And we have the LTECT, that is the same, that is a broader thesaurus. Let's put it this way. That is the same of the term report, but it's in English. And this is being produced. We are, I suppose that until next year, until the end of 2024, we are going to be able to publish it. Okay, we are really hurrying so that we can publish for you to have these terms in English. You are going to see now how the thesaurus term report is. Okay, so of course I put this in English so that you can understand, but the term report is all in Portuguese. So for example, we have here the term, the entry, we call entry, okay, the term that is being the focus of this entry here. It is amparador extrafísico or extraphysical helper. And we have the equivalent term translated into 6 languages. And then we have the definition, example of use, variant, cognates, and remissives, that are other entries that are still in this thesaurus, and the person can take a look, can consult to amplify the knowledge and the association of ideas about this entry here, extra physical helper. So you can see that it's very much different from the previous one that we saw from the glossary. Okay, so this is more complete, more complex. It takes more time. And another thing is that which types of dictionary can we do? There are many types we can do according to our objectives. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of them. And as I told you, we can have a lexical dictionary, that are the ones dedicated to learn languages. So we have dictionaries of verbs, synonyms, antonyms, verbal regency, because many languages conjugate verbs, and it's necessary to have dictionaries of verbal regency. And we have also language dictionaries, that are the ones that we are trying to produce. And we have to consult a lot of them. We have thematic dictionaries. From anything you want, you imagine, you can have thematic dictionaries, such as football, insects, flowers, kitchen utensils, and arts, and whatever. Here in Foz do Iguaçu, we have in the holocycle we have about 7,000 different thematic dictionaries. In fact, they are mixed. 7,000 dictionaries. We have lexical ones, language dictionaries, thematic dictionaries. We have thesaurus, analogical dictionaries, and others. And we have the ones, this number 4 here is the terminology or terminological dictionary that are the focus of our lecture today, because I'm specialized in producing terminological dictionaries, the ones that are from a science. In my case, the science conscienciology. And I want to invite more people that might be interested to produce your own dictionaries. I can teach you, I can give you some information. How can you start doing your own dictionary? Either translating what we have or doing your own. We can sit together. We can start doing a project of a dictionary that you are interested. I know that are people making a dictionary about peace, you know, pacifism and peace. And it's very good, very interesting theme. Let's get together to share ideas. Maybe I can help you in some way. And another type of dictionary are the analogical ones, that are the ones that try to, as I told you, to enlarge the association of ideas, and they are very useful. And it's a very specific dictionary that you have to know how to do it, because the analogy can be super big, and you have to have a limit to produce an analogical dictionary. Okay, they're all very useful to our development. So people, just for you to know, when we talk about terminology, for example, we are talking about the law. Okay, law. Let's suppose you are going to study law, and you have the specific terminology for this area. Lawyers have to know the terminology of law to work in this area. And medicine, botany, nursing, they all have their own terminology. So terminology in small letters, it's a set of technical words. And we have, in Portuguese, we use the areas and fields of knowledge, we put it into capital letters. They are considered proper names. And so we have the terminology of a science being the terminology as a linguistic discipline, an area that studies the linguistic aspects of this science. Terminology is also then a linguistic discipline, a part of linguistics. Okay, and that's it. So let's move a bit further. Functions of terminology are more or less the same of the benefits or advantages of a dictionary. Okay, they optimize communication between experts and professionals. They establish a science. They establish a new discoveries, a new science. They guarantee monosemy. What is monosemy? One term, one meaning, because that's the best for a science. One term, one meaning. Not, it's the opposite would be polysemy. And for a science, this is not good. I'll give you an example. In Portuguese, we have some words. For example, the word dot. Dot in Portuguese has, in a regular language dictionary, it has 28 different meanings for the word dot in Portuguese. So it's polysemic word. So when we are talking about language, it's different because it's the everyday language we use. But when we talk about science, the idea was that we have monosemy, one term, one meaning, so that people doesn't make confusion. The science gets more clear. And another function of terminologies to exchange and transfer specialized knowledge, as I told you, allow the planning of a specialty language and a science. Yes, you can plan the next discoveries, the next things to research with terminology. You can facilitate the specialized translation and assist in the technical and scientific documentation, because when you discover something, we publish an article, a scientific article, and that becomes part of that knowledge of that science. And documents we produce, the more technical they are, the better. And terminology helps that. Okay. So people, here I will jump that, but I won't go deep into the history of terminology, but it's super interesting, and I can send to you. If you are interested, I'll leave my email. I can send it, and what we can notice is that terminology start 2,600 years before Common Era, and with the monolingual Sumerian dictionaries done in clay bricks. Okay, and then we have a lot of registrations and about terminological dictionaries of the ancient times. And for example, we can mention here in Egypt, the first thematic dictionary, and Cretan civilization. They had a lot connection with the sea, and they had a thalassocracy, a commercial culture that they had a lot of commerce happening in the seas around, and they registered their knowledge in a terminological dictionary, and there are many others, but terminology becomes a real science, formalized science, only in 1864, that it was organized as a part of linguistics. Okay, but there are many initiatives in the ancient times to produce terminological dictionaries. So people, now let's talk about the terminographic project. Okay, so let's suppose you guys want to make a project.
Yes, I just before you start talking about this, Eliane, I have a comment from Annie. Hello, all. Great to have an opportunity to discuss this important subject,
That's it.
which
Thanks,
is,
Annie. Very good to have you here.
and also I have a question, which is also related with what you just spoke, which is what are the traits one should have to become part of this fantastic team you have been talking?
Okay. In fact, we were talking about the importance of having a team to work. And the person who wants to work with dictionary must be very detailed, must have, how do I say, like to work with detailism and exhaustive work. Say, wow, why should one like to do exhaustive work? Exhaustive work means that you have to have focus. You have to understand the meaning, the importance of that work, and you start researching. For example, for you to build a definition, you have to research in many dictionaries to compound that definition and to make it clear. And there is also a technique called the 50 dictionaries technique. For you to define something new, you have to consult at least 50 dictionaries. And start through that, you're going to amplify your understanding of that term that you are defining, and you're going to do a better work, a better definition. And the person must know, for example, if it is a consensology dictionary, you have to have a good knowledge on consensology, at least, and preferably to be a consensology instructor. That is one trait. Another trait, like detailed and focused works. Another thing, you have to be patient, because there will be revisions, there will be criticism to your work, and you have to be open to accept. I think these are the basic ones, but the person has to have time, commitment, work well in teams, because we are going to discuss things and we have to work aligned with the team. I think these are the main ones, Fabiana.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
So let's talk about terminographic project. What is that? Well, first of all, what do you want to research? Who is your target audience for whom you are going to produce this dictionary? Let's suppose I'm going to produce this dictionary for the intermissivists. So it's going to be a dictionary that you can talk about consensology without explaining so much the basic things. You can put more advanced verpons, neologisms. But usually we do a dictionary for intermissivists and for new researchers. Then you can explain a little bit more into more details. But you have to find your audience. Are they young people, old people? Because the language is different, and you might have a more formal dictionary or a less formal dictionary. You are going to do, as I told you, advanced researchers or beginners. You are going to have a more complete dictionary, or with the essential concepts. And after you think about who is your target audience, then you go to this second question here. What information can I include in this dictionary? Are you going to put the entries of the encyclopedia? Are you going to create your own definitions? Do you intend to put examples of use, more explanations? What else? And another reflexive rhetorical question before you get started is, what is relevant and will actually help the professional? For example, now here would be the researcher. What would help my target public? For example, in my case, when I first organized the glossary, what was relevant was the essential consensology terms, the basic ones that we didn't have a consensus. Many of them had, for the same term, we had 6 different translations. So it was important for me to try to get the monosemy, one word, one meaning. And my target audience were the beginners of consensology, people who were first getting to know the science and doing the entry courses. That was, and also for the researchers and for the translators. So my target audience was a little bit big. And from where to start? Let's start with the list of terms I want to include. And then you start collecting them. Just make a list. Make a list, put number one, number two, a list in Word, in very simple. And you are going to start getting a broader overview of how many terms you want to include. And another thing, making that list, for example, you start with the treatises, you start with some encyclopedia entries. What are other sources that you can collect? So it's good that you plan this in advance. For example, I want to research in some journals, of conscienciology, that we have some recent articles and recent research about this subject. So you can collect the terms from there. And so if you plan in advance which are the books and the sources, it's going to be easier. And you can do even the bibliographic references in advance. Because today, for you to publish a formal definition, it's necessary that you inform where did you take that, okay? So that we don't have plagiarism. And how many terms do you intend? Usually, we say that we wanted to include, for example, 200 terms, 300 terms, but in the end, we will feel like increasing a little bit the number of terms, because we will find so many interesting things and we will want to include. But here is the first question, okay? So I hope, people, if you have any questions, let me know. But the best way is to start with a list. And where are you going to collect? And so these are the parts of a terminographic project. You're going to write there in Word. You're going to write each one of them, because this is going to help you to think about your work, because it's a lot of work. If you plan, it's going to be easier. And then it's a very good time for you to involve the team. You invite people, invite researchers that are interested to do this work together with you. I'm sure you will love to have people working with you. Okay, so you will start with the dictionary theme. How many terms? What is the big area of knowledge? Okay, so for example, I gave you an example of the dictionary of pacifism and peace. So the area of knowledge would be pacifismology. We have that defined already. What is the general objective, the broader purpose of this work? You write there. What are the specific objectives? What are other purpose you want to achieve? And it's amazing that when you start doing this project, a lot of ideas will come to you. Even I suppose that is when the extra physical team of helpers come and inspire you which way to follow. Yes, Fafa.
Yes, I have an interesting question here from Patricia. These are interesting guiding questions. Could you talk about the parapsychic aspects of this work?
People, this work of producing dictionaries is very much helped by the helpers, and we feel that they are supporting us all the time. They inspire us with new ideas. We go to sleep and we wake up with fresh terms to include. For example, wow, I have to include this and that. It is missing this term. I had forgotten this one. And now I have the idea came to my mind. It's help from the helpers. And another thing is that people if you start doing a job like that, Patricia, you will see that there are people who is interested in helping you, and they are going to come to you sooner or later. They will send you an email. It's amazing. That happened to me all the time. People, for example, I needed to do the remsieves in the when we were finishing the termiport is already in editaris. So when we are finishing, we were kind of exhausted because working in so many variables. And then we had to finish the remsieves. That was a very long work. And then people started, I was thinking about who could I invite to do this, because the person has to know conscienciology. And people started um, contacting me through email, people that I didn't know before. Some people that I invited didn't accept my invitation because they were busy. But other people came and started integrating our team of remsieves and helped a lot. So I conclude that the extra physical help is immense for this work. Okay. And have your own experience. Okay. Don't believe in anything, but it's amazing. It's really good. And another thing that I remember is that when I went to a field course, usually the epicenter people who didn't know that I was doing this work of dictionary, they came to me with some information about some intuition, some inspiration that they had received from the extraphysical team, and they passed all that information to me. And that was like a synchronicity that made me think that I was in the right path. Okay, this is okay. I'm doing it right. This is the way. Let's go further. Okay. And so people, as I told you, we had the general objective, specific objectives. Think about again who is your target audience, and who is your team, what are their strong traits, which who do you trust each task of the job that you are doing. If you need to train the team, it's very good to have, for example, to do this project together with the team. Not only one person does. You can start and do a version, but you have to review together with the team. That project is not one person only, is a team project, you know. So you have to decide things together, shared the decisions, train people. You have also to have a revision guide with all the things, all the details, which is goes in capital, which goes in bold, what goes in italics. This is all. You have to have a very good and constant communication with the team. And it's very important that you give feedback for the team as well, because they are working hard. It's not an easy work, and they have, in respect for their effort, you as organizer, you have to give them feedbacks. Oh, you are doing good. We want to publish it soon. Our idea is that we are having that issue, that problem to solve. You have to share constantly, not forget. Okay, they are working, let's forget about it, and someday their part will come ready to me. No, you have to constantly energize the team. Okay. And when one part is this project, and you produce a terminographic record. Number 8 here, inclusion corpus. Which books are you going to research? This is called the corpus in Latin. It's an expression. And what are the inclusion criteria? Which terms are you going to include? You have to write that in the project, okay? Because then it's clear for everyone why these terms are part of my dictionary and others aren't. And you have to have a terminographic record and spread that record, that model, and you can start with my suggestion for you. I wrote a project, and you can manage that project inside an applicative called Trello that is very much, that is easy to do, and you can have all the layers of your work. I can teach you, if some of you are interested, I can teach you how to produce a terminographic project. I can teach you how to use Trello, and let's go. Let's do a new dictionary. And here are the possible variants. Here I tried, there are 15, but there might be others, but these are the main ones. And we started with, let me just clarify something. Lexicographic and terminographic variables are the parts of that your dictionary are going to have. We will have, for example, the term that we call entry. And if it is a grammatical one, you're going to have these possibilities. And you see that there is this, we are indicating here a direction. So usually you go 1, 2, 3. If you follow this number, you are going to decide upon which variables you want to include. But please don't include many. Don't include all, because otherwise you won't finish. You have to have a project that is possible to be achieved and finished. Okay? So choose from here 4 or maximum 5 of those, not many more than that, because otherwise it will be a never-ending job. It will take years. For example, our project, this thesaurus, it's already, we are working with that for 10 years. 10 years. Of course, we had the first phase that was made inside the holocycle. And after that phase, we started working in a Google Drive worksheet that is much easier, and I recommend it to you as a methodology. I think it's much better. And that's why it took so long, because the work was big. There was many things that weren't defined. We defined it, but in the end, we will have 2 dictionaries. Very good question, Claudia Deli. Thanks for asking. I will answer. But look, we will have 2 dictionaries in a time, well, let's suppose 11 years time. So it's about 5 years and a half each in average. I suppose a good dictionary with 3,020 terms, it's more or less 5 years. 5 years, okay? But if you, for example, if you're going to translate a dictionary, it's different. Then it's going to be a little bit less. But if you're going to do it from the project, I think it's 5 years, at least 5 years, okay? Maybe you are going to do something shorter, but as I am seeing people working with dictionary for quite a long time, it's not less than 5 years. But who knows? Maybe you were more, you're faster, things are more optimized nowadays, and you can do it in less time. But my experience shows that, okay? And so people, here they are, these 15 possibilities that you can include. My suggestion, include 4 or 5, not more than that. Okay, this is the same thing. This is these parts that are in yellow is the ones that we chose for the term report. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. And we use it also in some parts, we use synoptic table, not in all. And we have the term report ready. So this is an example of definition. The definition should be very clear, concise, objective, must have grammar correction. We have to avoid inserting other terms, other complex terms into a definition. Otherwise, it won't be clear for the one who is seeing that term for the first time. Okay? You can take definitions ready. You can adapt a little bit. If you change anything, it's not a literal, it's not exactly what the text you collected. You adapted something, you can do it. It's highly accepted. And then you mention the source. That's very important. And we decided to mention the author, the work, the edition, year, and page. And in the end of the work, we are also informing the exhaustive bibliography. That is that very complete one, like in all books of conscientiology. So it's this part of having the source is very important because it gives you credibility and becomes your work more trustable and scientific. And this is very important that when you collect a definition, you collect also what was the source, because otherwise you will have to you have rework, and you will take longer in the end if you have to come back, just check where did you take that definition from. Okay, so please do it as soon as you got a good definition that you like. If you don't find a good definition, you can do your own, and then you write prepared by the team. It's accepted.
That's exactly my question, Eliane. So first, we investigate and look for a definition. So you said, as you presented in your project, the term, we have the term, and then you investigate all sorts of it, and then you have one definition. Once you have the definition, then you go to the team. Is in that order? Is that correct?
No, once you get the definition, you copy and paste in your work, in your dictionary, that I am going to suggest you to do in a Google Drive worksheet. I'm going to show you in the next slides. There we will have a model. And then you will have the definition there, and you put the source right after the definition.
Okay.
You leave as ready as you can. Don't leave work behind. When you do, of course, you can do it in layers. First, you collect all the list of terms. As I told you, make a list. Okay? Then you have an idea of how many terms you want to include. Then you go back and you can grab a definition, or you do it at the same term, definition, and source. Okay? Sometimes you will find a good definitions. You leave it ready. You don't have to go back. It depends on what type of dictionary are you doing. There are some, we have many things ready. And there are other dictionaries, for example, the dictionaries, the dictionary of techniques, because conscientiology has a lot of techniques. And so Ivone Kubarenko is doing a dictionary on that with 800 techniques. The majority of the techniques, she collected the definitions ready, but some of them didn't exist. People mentioned but didn't define, and she had to define a lot, and also the procedure. So it was it's not ready. This dictionary still has a lot of things to work, but it's going to be great. And she's still working on that. So here is the methodology that I wanted to show you. That is our last part. Okay. So people, first one, let me show you this. This is the Google Drive worksheet. So here is column A. You put all the terms you are interested in defining. And it's very good to work with that because you can share this worksheet with your team, and the people can work from abroad and from many countries. Each one can be responsible for a column or for some part of your dictionary. And after this is ready, 100% ready, you have to migrate the content from a Google Drive worksheet into a Word document. So for this to happen, you need to have a person from IT, information technology, because this requires an expertise to do. You have to ask someone that is a specialist in information technology, and the person will easily make a program, take this out. For example, when we had the glossary, when we produced the glossary with 600 terms, I wasn't aware that it was possible to ask someone from information technology to make that worksheet become a Word doc. So I did it myself, copy and paste one by one, and it was huge work. Huge. So I don't recommend, because I got to do it, but it's long hours of work. Now, with this second work that we are doing, that is the term report, we had a person that is Rui Bueno, and Rui Bueno did a kind of a program. They call it a program. They had a language, IT language, and they do a program in which they take out, and the work, all the content will be formatted into Word doc, and very, very well formatted, with the bold parts, with the italics, everything it's in your terminological record, it's going to be in this Word. And so it's great to know that. So my suggestion is that you work in a Google Drive worksheet, okay? Of course, there are other programs that are for free, such as the Wikipedia. Wikipedia is also a very good source that you could do, but I don't know how to do it. But it's not difficult. If you have an IT consultant, you can do all the work into a Wikipedia. And when you feel it's ready, you can publish. You can leave for the people to see in the web. It's another possibility. For example, this dictionary of conscienciotherapeuticology that I showed in the beginning, it was done in a Wikipedia. And after that, as Wikipedia is a database, they can migrate all the content into a Word document. And after it is in Word, people, the second step would be to ask for a professional to do the editing, to do a professional editing, right? So that you can publish it. So it's very it's a lot of steps. So what I want to talk about is that we have that phase 1 and phase 2 when we are producing a dictionary. Phase 1, it's more internal, is the organizers with the team, the team of researchers that are helping. So you must have the theme here. You have to make a project where you're going to have your microstructure. What variables are you going to include? And how many terms? We call it macrostructure. Who is your team? And then you start collecting your terms. You put the terms into a Google Drive worksheet with the variables, one column per variable. You start writing or collecting your definitions, writing or collecting your examples of use, and then you start the revision process inside the team and the revision process of the bibliographic references. And last time you convert it into into a Word doc. And when you have it into a Word doc, then you go to phase two, that is more external. You are going to contact editors or another editor. You're going to send that Word doc into the editor so that they are going to analyze, they are going to give you suggestions. And what you're going to do with the suggestion, you're going to try to accept all that you can, because they're going to make your work much better. All the revisions are welcome. You can't say, wow, it's done, I won't alter anything. No, revisions and suggestions will come and will make your work even better, more accurate, more clear, more professional. So accept them. Go to the Google Drive worksheet, alter in that worksheet, and then after, then you ask again your IT consultant. He can convert again a more updated version into Word, because once the program he did is ready, the conversion is it takes seconds. It's very easy to do. And then after you contact your editor, they accept your work, you start doing the other layers of the work, that is to contract, to hire a layout designer for professional editing. We did that. You hire a designer for the cover, for producing a very beautiful, impacting cover. And we had a great cover done by our friend. She did that voluntarily for us. That is Deborah Klippel. She created a great cover. And then you're going to start getting feedbacks, and you are going again to revise. Don't think the word is finished because you send it to the editor. There will be corrections, there will be polishments, and you are going to start revising after the professional editing. Then you see many mistakes. You revise, and you, of course, you're going to think, wow, this is a never-ending job, but it ends. I can assure you it will end. Then you write the pretextual and post-textual elements. What is that? Pretextual, you write the presentation, you invite someone to do the forewords, you write about the theme, you explain the content of your terminological file. This, for example, list of abbreviations. This is all part of the pretextual elements. Post-textual elements are the bibliographic references, some remissive index, okay, and that's all. And usually it's a lot of, the volume increases a lot with the post-textual elements, because in conscienciology we usually do the remissive index. We are doing also the bibliographic, the exhaustive bibliographic references, and our took it's a great amount of pages.
Eliane, I have a question here from Regina. Great presentation, Eliane. I think working with dictionaries also contributes to our personal re-education, but also for extra physical consciousness involved. Would you share this point of view?
Yes, for sure, Regina, because we are dealing with multidimensionality. We have help from the helpers. We have also more sick consciousnesses that are together with us in our everyday life, in our daily routine. And whenever we are dealing with dictionaries, we bring these consciousnesses in our psychosphere, and as we are learning, they are also learning. As we are improving our own and reorganizing our way of thinking, our tocenity, we help them to reorganize their tocenity as well. And it's two ways work. It's we improve, and we improve our people that are together with us. We can assist more. For example, I can mention that I am a Portuguese teacher, and I teach people how to write. I have students that need to write compositions and write school works, and I help them. And I think that my thoughts were more organized, and I was able to produce better texts after that. So I'm more prone to assist these students. And what I feel is that when I have some students, I end up assimilating their energies. I suppose that many extra physical consciousnesses from them comes to my psychosphere, and they learn together. And I feel I get assimilation. I have to do vibrational state, but I feel I am assisting them as well. So it's very interesting. And so, people, thanks, Regina. And look, what we are here after this revise, and writing the pre-textual and post-textual, we are reaching the phase that we are now. That is to divulge, making a good divulgation of your work that took years to be ready, and it's a very assistential work, and you are going to divulge. And so I took a course on that, a free course on the internet, and I am learning how to do that. I will start doing the first steps, but we can do the pre-sales. We are going to start within less than a month. You are going to receive a Canva flyer announcing the pre-sales of the Termiport. And so we have to record videos, to publish in Instagram, to really start divulging your work. Don't be ashamed. That's why specialists say, don't be ashamed. Don't think that you're going to talk again, you're going to send the flyer again. No, you're going to put in Instagram. Make an Instagram, can be your own. What they suggest, the specialists suggest, is that make don't make so many different profiles. If you were going to divulge a book, put the book in your personal profile. That's one suggestion. We are still deciding upon that. And then you start divulging your stories, your flyers, parts and information about the work. You are trying to call the people's attention to, so that they can buy your work, because you have to know it's assistential, it's gonna help. You did it for not only for you, but for everyone. Of course, we are very much assisted, it's inter assistance, but you have to divulge at least 1 year after after launching it. You have to keep on divulging your work, participating in lectures, participating in interviews, writing articles, presenting works in congresses and conferences. Everything you learned, do try to share what you learned, because people will buy your book, will be assisted by it. And that's where we are now, and I want to improve that, to learn more. We intend to open a site, a website, only for the term report, and you will see. I hope you can participate. You can give your likes in our website, in our Instagram, where we publish, Facebook, because we are going to do all the social media that is possible. Okay, let me see. So here is the Google Drive spreadsheet commands that it's good for you to train your team, because many don't know, many are afraid of working with the Google Drive when they have, when it's, they had never worked before. They are usually very much afraid of spoil something, and you have to train them, to give them security. Make a copy of the spreadsheet so that they can train without worrying about if they are going to make mistakes or not. And then you get together with them to work. When they are trained, then you put them to work together with the team. Well, people, and that's it. That's what I had to tell you. I will end with my personal email. If you want to receive this PDF, I can send you. If you want to receive a copy of the project in English, I can send you so that you can do your own. And I will finish reading this thought about from Benveniste, that is a researcher from linguistics. The particular history of a science boils down to what it to that of its specific terms. A science begins to exist or succeeds in imposing itself only insofar as it exists and imposes its concepts through its denomination. To name, that is, to create a concept, is at the same time the first and last operation of a science. So, Benveniste, 1989. So I think it's very wise. And here is our bibliographical references that we used to do this presentation. Very good.
Thank you, Eliane. It was really a fantastic presentation. I would like to highlight a few of the points. You started talking about the science, types of dictionaries. You talked about brain, pair of brain, mono and polysemy definitions. You talk about the traits people need to participate in that important team and do this important job. The validation of the term, which for me was fantastic, very important to know about it. Validation of the terms for the science to avoid confusion. You explained the difference between simple translation versus a dictionary, glossaries, and so many more. So really, I have no words. It was a very good presentation. I would like to reinforce in the name of Isaac and the entire team. We want to reinforce. Thank you very much for this presentation.
I
We
thank you.
have 1 minute, so if you'd like to say the last words.
Yes, people, I'm very happy to be here. I'm really glad to be invited. This is our first presentation about dictionaries after the term report is ready. So I
That's great.
consider that it's a great opportunity to devote the work and to make myself available to help you, any one of you at any time. Let me know. We can chat together, and you can start doing your own dictionaries.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you all for being here with us. And if you have any other doubt, please send a question straight forward to Eliane, or if you have more questions, you can also ask Isaac. In the name of Isaac, thank you very much for being here. And I see you in September with our next The Bridge Researchers. See you there. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.